Hey, Google has really just changed the rules on cold email, and what worked even 2 to 3 months ago mostly doesn't really work anymore. And a lot of marketers and companies are really struggling. So a lot of people are unknowingly hurting their deliverability just by missing a few small things, which I'm going to cover in this video. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a complete full checklist on exactly what to do to make sure your emails are not landing in spam. Because if your emails are landing in spam, then the rest of your campaign is just completely screwed, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good your messaging is. It doesn't matter how hard you worked on your list building or your strategy or your sales process or your offer. If you're landing in spam, which you probably are, you might not even know this, then nothing else matters again, because nobody reads their spam box, right? Like most people don't even read the cold emails in their regular inbox, right? So they're definitely not looking at your emails in spam. So the rules have changed, but the good news is cold email still works great. And the reason I know this is because I run an agency and we're still booking hundreds of meetings consistently across all the different clients and industries we're working in. So it still works, but the big difference is now you just have to work a little bit harder on deliverability and just have the right process. But I've spent really the last we've been running our agency for a while, but the last 18 months specifically, we've really just been obsessing over email deliverability. I've tested so many different tools, A/B tested so many different strategies. So luckily for you, you don't have to go through 18 months of grueling testing. I'm going to just unpack the most important things in just this 20 to 30 minute video. So hope you enjoy it. And of course, if you do, leave me a like or a subscribe or both. Anyways, I just wanted to clarify quickly that this is what's working now for us in 2026. I would imagine even next year in 2027 or 2028, probably 90% of this is still going to be the same, because what I've really tried to focus on for my team and for this process I'm walking you through is the things that don't change. So I've really taken the time to understand at a deep level. Like I'm a big believer in first principles, right? So you could learn all the different little tactics and hacks for deliverability, and some of them help. But the most important thing is for me, actually understanding, how do these spam filters work? What does Google want to see? What are they trying to put in spam? What are they trying to put in primary, right? And I found a few patterns that really haven't changed that much over the years. So everything I'm sharing today is really based on what I believe to be timeless. And yes, a year from now, I'll probably make another video. There'll probably be some slight changes, but most of it's going to be the same. Anyways, I just want to warn you that there's a lot of stuff in business and in marketing that's boring, but it makes you money. And this is one of those things. This is not going to be as creative or as fun as some of my other videos. Like, I have other videos where I talk about offers and cold email copywriting and the buyer psychology, and I interview a lot of really cool entrepreneurs. That stuff's more fun. This can be a little bit dry of a topic unless you really like the technical side of things, which I do. So anyways, this can be a little bit boring, but I promise you this is going to just help you get so much better results. You're going to see your response rates go way up if you implement this. And anyways, just in case the content's a little bit boring, here's a picture of a cat who's had a little bit too much to drink and a little bit too much to eat. Okay, now that we've got your dopamine taken care of, let's actually go into the content. So here's some pretty wild data. So 2024 and before that, the average reply rate, and this was a study done by Instantly, was around 6%. So out of 100 emails you'd send, 6% of people would reply. Now it's between 1 to 5%. The most recent number I saw from their test was 3.4%, right? So that's almost half the effectiveness in really just not even 2 years, right? We're only early in 2026 right now. Also, following up more than 2 times decreases your replies by 20 to 55%, depending on how far you go. So you're getting half as many leads. And usually in the past, we had clients where we would get most of the leads on email 3 and 4. And you've probably heard this before, that in sales, you need to have 7 to 12 touch points. Well, not really with email, because now you're going to get more spam complaints. And the amount of spam complaints skyrockets, specifically on the 3rd email and the 4th email, and then much more on the 5th email and so on, right? There is some nuance on this. There's some times where we do have longer follow-up sequences in special cases for certain industries. And I will share a couple examples of that in a bit. So stay tuned. But this is a big change. And this is why you might have heard people shouting on LinkedIn saying that, cold email's gotten harder or cold email is dead. First of all, if a marketer tries to tell you that something is dead, just be very skeptical, because usually they're trying to sell you a different thing. So cold email is definitely not dead. There's I have an agency, and I know lots and lots of other agency owners doing many millions of dollars, working with many clients and booking hundreds and thousands of meetings across all their clients, right? So it's definitely not dead. It's just gotten harder. And a lot of people like to use that as an excuse for their laziness around adapting, or because they want to sell you on Facebook ads or something else. So it's definitely not dead, but I've noticed something. I've noticed a shift really in the last 12 months. So I saw email deliverability getting a lot harder about 18 months ago. I only saw this data recently, but I experienced this myself firsthand, right? And about 18 months ago, it started getting harder. And at that point, I actually had to really make email deliverability a core part of our agency, right? Because we work with B2B companies and we do this for people. And, you know, before like 2 years ago, it was kind of like not that important, email deliverability. It was, you could just use some basic warm up, use the basic settings on instantly, and you'd be fine. But about 18 months ago, I actually had to really make it like a core focus, and we hired someone specifically for that. Now, 12 months ago, I started noticing something else. We started getting a lot of clients coming to us saying, hey, I was working with this lead generation agency, and they were getting me like 30 booked meetings a month or 40 booked meetings a month. And then all of a sudden, they're getting me like 5 or 10 or 0. Now, typically, if your results fall off a cliff that fast, it's almost always your email deliverability. So if you've been running outbound campaigns and your results have went down, it's most likely email deliverability, assuming you didn't change anything else. Like if you're still using the same copy, targeting the same people, why else would it drop off that quickly, right? It's usually deliverability and you're just landing in spam. And the tricky thing is there's no way to know. Like, well, I mean, there's ways to know that I'm going to show you, but what I meant to say was when you're going into these email marketing platforms like Instantly or SmartLead, they don't tell you that you're landing in spam. It's like it's really like a puzzle. You have to kind of put together a few pieces of data together to get the full picture, right? So that's why it's tricky, right? So that's why I say a lot of people are actually hurting their deliverability, landing in spam, they don't even know it, which kind of sucks, right? Because you're spending all this time making these really good campaigns and people aren't even seeing it, right? And why did this happen? Ultimately, you know, these platforms release new spam filters. They do this every year, but they've been doing it more frequently. And if you slap on the fact that there's the AI slop rush and way more people are sending way more low quality emails, like these, you know, Google, Yahoo, Outlook, they have to just keep getting stricter and stricter, right? So it's been because more people do cold email, along with the fact that there's just a lot more AI and there's a lot more like scams. Like I receive a lot more like phishing emails and scams recently. And in my opinion, that's really what these platforms are worried about. I don't think these companies are really worried about cold emailers. They're really trying to protect their users from scams, right? So you have to think about doing what scammers don't do. So that's kind of where we are now. Now, I'm going to walk through quickly the complete cold email deliverability checklist, how to avoid spam filters and fix issues. Now, real quick, I'm going to walk through a few different things here. So the technical setup, the warm up, the campaign best practices, the best practices for the content, and then the monitoring. Like it's one thing to have all the best practices, but how do you watch your campaigns and know if there's an issue? Because again, it's not obvious if you're landing in spam. There's no big banner that pops up that says, hey, your emails are all landing in spam. Like these tools don't make it that easy because it's not that easy. Again, you have to look at a few different data points and kind of piece it all together. So I'll cover monitoring, and then I'm going to cover, so everything you're seeing here, this checklist is what I also made a video about 2 years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. I'll link that down below and in the video. So I have a video that walks through this checklist in greater detail, and it's pretty much all still relevant. There's a couple of changes, which I'm going to cover. And then I'm going to cover what we've specifically changed recently to go on turbo spam free mode. So I'm going to cover our core workflow, which is largely unchanged. And then I'm going to cover the specific things we've just changed in the last 2 to 3 months that is allowing us to still get amazing results for a lot of clients in a lot of different industries. The reason I'm telling you this now is because I'm not going to go through this checklist in extreme detail, because I literally have another video linked down below that just covers this exact checklist, and kind of goes a little bit deeper and explains what some of these terms mean. So I'm going to breeze through it and cover the main things. But again, if you'd like to go deeper onto this checklist and like really learn it like one level deeper, then click the link below and you'll see the other video. Anyways, with that said, so again, if I'm going a little bit fast for the checklist, don't worry about it, because there's another video where I like go a layer deeper on this and take more time on each thing. But I want to make sure this video isn't like a 2-hour video, right? And I want to spend most time focusing on the recent trends and changed. But anyways, let's get into it. All right. So the initial setup is you need burner domains. You don't want to be using your main company email domain. You want to set up additional domains. We call them burner domains because it's like a drug dealer with a burner phone, right? You have these other phones that aren't going to last long and you're going to throw them out, right? So you want to use separate domains. That way any spam complaints don't affect your main business, right? You want to scale horizontally. So the old way of doing cold email is people would get one email domain, one email address, and they would send like thousands of emails from one email address. That doesn't work in 2026. It didn't even really work in 2025. Horizontally means like you get lots of inboxes. So for most of our clients, we'll buy 200 inboxes. And from every inbox, we're just sending like 10 to 20 emails a day. And that's really good because then Google doesn't really see that we're sending so many emails from one inbox, right? Or one domain. Because if you're sending thousands of emails from one inbox, again, that's not what a human would do. So Google's going to quickly catch up on the fact that like you're doing marketing or some sort of mass emailing, right? Then you want to set up your DNS records, which I'm going to spare you the boring technical explanation, but this is just like identifiers for your domain and just really send signals to Google saying that, hey, I'm here and I'm legit. Again, my video linked below will go into more detail on all this stuff. But for now, just know that you need to do this. And if you'd like to understand it more, then watch the other video. You want to set up forwarding. When you get similar domains like .net, .ai, If someone searches that domain, it's going to go to a broken page and it's going to look sketchy. And then they might mark you as spam, which is the worst thing you can do, right? The main thing you want to avoid is people marking you as spam. That has a bigger impact than anything else, is user complaints, right? So if people see if they Google your fake domain, your burner domain, and it doesn't go to your main website, then it just, first of all, they're probably not going to be a lead because it looks suspicious. It makes you not look legitimate, but also they might mark you as spam. This is easy to do. This is done within GoDaddy, or if you're using like a domain vendor or like a service, then they would do it for you. Make sure you add a profile photo. This is not actually affecting email deliverability at a technical level, but the thought process here is you look just more like a person, so people are less likely to mark you as spam. So some of these are about like the mechanics of these platforms. Some of these tips are about what's going to reduce the chance you get marked as spam. Most of them are, and that's really where I believe the future is going, is like the spam complaints matter the most, right? It's kind of already been that way, but it's happening more and more. And get a good mix of infrastructure. So get some Gmail domains, get some Outlook domains. Google should be the majority. The reason for this is that people look at where you're sending from. So if you're emailing 100 people and most of them have Google inboxes, because most people use Google, that's good, because then their Google inbox receives an email from your Google inbox. So it's Google to Google. It's like two systems that understand each other and recognize each other, right? That's why I don't like using these SMTP servers or these like custom built email solutions, because Gmail and Outlook don't recognize those, right? So we always find the best results using the most common types of email accounts that the people we're emailing use, right? And get a good mix. We usually go like 80% Google, 20% Outlook. Campaign best practices. This is largely unchanged. So when we launch a new campaign, or not really a new campaign, but like a new account, like a new outbound system, we'll only send 5 emails a day per inbox. So if you have 200 inboxes, 5 emails a day, that's 1,000 a day. And then we'll increase slowly by 5 each week as long as the deliverability is good. So we're watching the stats. And then we'll max that out at 25 emails per day. I mentioned Folderly here. That's like a more advanced and expensive warm-up tool. We found some good results using that as well. But we didn't really find that so we tested Instantly versus Folderly, and I'll explain warm-up in a minute. But we found that Folderly it cost more and it did make the results better, but the results weren't better enough to make the cost worth it. So we still stick with Instantly, which is the basic warm-up. I also don't recommend turning open tracking. That was a new thing about a year back. If you turn open tracking on, then most people that you send an email to will get a big banner that says, hey, this might be spam. Do you want to mark them as spam? You don't want that. Only turn open tracking on for the first day or two of a campaign, because then it at least makes sure, at least it tells you if you're landing in the inbox. Like if you get 5% open rate, you know that you're not landing in the inbox. So when we launch new inboxes, new campaigns, we like to turn it on for a day just to make sure we're headed in the right direction. And then we turn it off because it is a negative impact. Also validate all your emails. So if you download emails from Apollo or Clay or like any main data provider, right? They might tell you that, oh, these emails are valid, but you'll find that they're not. So use a third-party tool. There's tools like Find Email, NeverBounce, Million Verifier. We use all the above. And you can put in your email list and they'll tell you, hey, 30% of these emails are invalid. Don't use these. So again, like even if you're getting it from a database, we find that those databases aren't always very accurate or up to date. So always use another layer of verification and only send to the valid emails. Again, don't trust the email status in Apollo or whatever database you use. Warm up. I mean, I'm assuming most of you guys know what this is, but for anyone who doesn't, just real quick, warm up basically means all you need to know is that you're going to take your email inboxes that you're going to send campaigns from. You're going to put them in this system and they're going to basically send fake emails back and forth between them and other email accounts that all in the same tool. And these fake email accounts are going to use AI to talk to each other. They're going to like reply and they're going to mark not spam and they're going to like star emails as important, right? And what that does is it sends signals to Google saying, hey, this is a real person. They're having real conversation. So it kind of like simulates human behavior. You don't really need to understand it at a deep level. Just know that you need to, when you get new inboxes and domains, you have to connect them to a tool like Instantly, turn warm up on and leave it for at least 2 weeks, right? Again, we used to use Folderly, but I did a very detailed A/B test of different warm up tools. And I found that Instantly's warm up or Smartly's warm up is like not exactly the best, but it's the best value for money. And I'd rather spend that extra money on more inboxes because I'll explain that in a bit too. So anyways, Folderly is great, but we just didn't find the cost was worth the slight lift we got from it. Always keep warm up on, never turn it off. I'm going to speed through these here because I want to get to the last section, which is the meat. But email content best practices. So I'm going to, again, speed through this, but click the link below if you want to watch the other video that goes through a lot of these and like explains more of the thought process. Only send plain text. So we still do this. We avoid bold, italics, colors, links, images, videos. Avoid spam words. Instantly has a spam checker. I also have a sign up link below if you want to try out Instantly. I've used a bunch of tools. That's my favorite, but honestly, most of these tools are like quite similar, so it's not really a huge deal. But anyways, whatever tool you're using usually would have a spam checker. So there's certain words you can't say in emails. Avoid broken spelling symbols. This is more nuanced. This I created a custom GPT for, which is in our free course, which I believe also is linked down below. But broken spelling symbols is kind of like it's like these weird like characters in your emails that you have to change. It's very technical. You can also just ask ChatGPT, hey, take the broken spelling symbols out of this. Or you can use our tool if you're in our free course. But anyways, you want unique content. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. You want to limit follow-ups. We now stick to mostly two-step email sequences. Use spin tags, which again, if you don't know what that is, whatever tool you're using would usually do this for you, where you can take your email template and you can say add spin tags. And I know Instantly at least will do that as like a free AI thing within their tool. Don't be overly salesy or aggressive because this is what gets people to mark you as spam. Don't be pushy in the follow-up because again, people will get annoyed and mark you as spam. Send a relevant offer to the right person. So if you're truly reaching the right person for your offer and your offer is truly helpful to them and the copy is like very helpful to them, they're not likely to mark you as spam. Most of the time people mark things as spam because it's just like completely irrelevant and it's like wasting their time that they even received it. So this is really about making sure your targeting and your list building process is solid. Your CTA, call to action, should be to reply. We mostly avoid sending links. I say mostly because some clients, they have a funnel that they insist on driving traffic to a funnel, but most of the time we still like to have people reply first and then get the link. So what do I mean by this? Don't send a bunch of cold emails with a link to book a call because one of the things Google will look out for is if you have links, right? It's ideal that they reply first because then when they reply, that's engagement. That's sending good signals that you're having conversations. And then you can send them the link after. And also you need to have an opt-out because if I want to mark your email as spam, I'm either going to mark you as spam or I'm going to use your opt-out. Like if you don't have a way in the opt-out, which could be as simple as saying, hey, reply no if you're not interested. If you don't have a method for me, my only option is to mark you as spam if I don't want to hear from you, right? So make it really, really easy for people to not mark you as spam. Monitoring. So I'm going to leave that there for now because again, I don't want this video to be 2 hours. Let me just go into what we've changed. If you want to take a quick look at this, these are the main things for monitoring. You know what? I'll just again speed through this. Hey, real quick, how would you like a free 7-hour mini course on exactly how to start and scale outbound campaigns that book you appointments and get you clients? If that sounds good, then click the link in the description and download it real quick. This is free, my gift to you as a subscriber. And definitely download this unless you hate leads and you don't want to grow your business. If that's the case, then don't do it. But otherwise, grab it and put it to work right away. I mean, this is literally so action-packed, so like straight to the point. You can pretty much just go through the whole course in a day, implement it tomorrow, and start getting booked appointments the next day. So it's very, very easy to follow. Grab the link in the description down below. Hope you enjoy it. And also, if you don't want to do this yourself and you would actually just like to hire a team to run outbound campaigns for you and book you sales appointments, then there's also a link in the description to book a call with my team and I, where you can actually just see what it would look like to have us just do all this for you. Anyways, thanks for watching and let's get back to the video. Yeah, let's at least cover monitoring because that's pretty important. So we used to look at the open rates to tell if our deliverability was good, but now we don't use that anymore. So now we just use reply rates. We just look at if our reply rates are consistently going down for like a week, we usually know there's a deliverability problem. And then we'll look at it at a more granular level by looking at the inboxes. Because if you have 200 inboxes, maybe some of them have problems, some of them don't. Some of them have good reply rates, right? You might be asking, what's a good reply rate? Figure at least to 3% on Instantly at a minimum, right? And if it drops quickly, look into it. You can check the bounce rate on the campaigns. That should also be under 2%. You can use tools to check the domain health like Postmasters and Mail Tester. These are free. And Glock apps or Folderly give you a folder picture, but we also stopped using these because the number one metric we changed recently is we look at reply rate per inboxes. These tools are great too, but I just want to keep it simple and look at the most accurate metric. And again, if we're really having a problem, we'll look at a couple different data sources, but to keep it really, really simple for you, look at the reply rate per inbox because Instantly will tell you out of all your inboxes, which ones have different reply rates, like how many emails has each inbox sent. And you might have some inboxes that have sent 500 emails and gotten 0 replies, delete those, right? And some that's got a lot of replies. So if you're seeing your deliverability drop off a cliff, don't just like get rid of all your inboxes. Try to look at each one. So that's that. And okay, cool. I actually can, I think I have time to go over this. Just want to make sure this video is not an hour long because I know that nowadays we're all pretty ADD and it's hard to watch YouTube videos for an hour straight. So two-phase protocol. So now the question is, how do we fix things if they're wrong? So I just showed you how to monitor it and what to look at. If you see these numbers going down, what do you do? So we have a two-phase protocol that's restoring and resuming. So when inboxes are doing bad, we'll find the ones that are doing bad, isolate them, and we'll put them on timeout. We'll just pause them for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. And then we'll resume them to 1 or 2 weeks later. And if the stats improve, then we keep it. If not, we get rid of it. And then we'll also try to analyze the cause. Is it the copy? Are we getting spam complaints? Do we have any technical issues like missing DNS records? If you think it's an issue with spam, like people are marking you as spam, then it's usually your copy. Like, what are you saying? Maybe people just don't like it. They don't care. Or maybe the copy's too aggressive, or the list, or you're reaching the wrong person, right? And if it's a super high bounce rate, it's usually you want to look at the data source. Like, where did you get the leads? And did you run them through the validation process, right? Okay, cool. So that is our checklist. Again, that's largely the same as 2 years ago when I made that video that's linked below that goes deeper into these steps. Largely the same, just a couple small changes. Now let me go into the most recent things we've changed dramatically that we're seeing make a big difference for our clients and allow us to get really, really great results. So I'm not going to lie, it's been turbulent. Like the last couple of months, there's been a lot of weeks where it just really dipped, but my team and I are really good at like finding the problem, fixing it quick because we follow the monitoring and the fixing protocol. So anyways, what did we change recently that's helped us get through those tough weeks and what's allowing us to still stay ahead? One is more personalization. So we're using AI to personalize more emails, meaning that we customize every email based on the person we're sending it to. More segmentation. So if I have 3 different ICPs, I'm going to make 3 different campaigns so I can have different copy for each. That also increases relevance, which increases engagement and lowers the people marking you as spam, right? You want to, again, send the right message, the right offer to the right person. And then more spin tags. Spin tags is, again, it's like the randomization of synonyms in your email, but instantly, or I'm pretty sure smartly too, will just do this for you for free in their tool. So this is important because Google wants to see unique content. So if you send one email template out 100,000 times, Google's pretty smart, right? And their engineers are pretty smart, right? Their algorithm can tell that this is obviously mass email marketing or maybe some kind of abuse, right? Because they can see that the same piece of content, the same like words are getting sent out all over the web, right? So when you personalize your emails and when you use spin tags and when you segment your list and you have different copy for different ICPs and different personas, you're just putting more and more unique content out there and you're lowering the chance and decreasing the timeline between Google finding out that you're doing email marketing at scale and then stopping you, right? So this is called fingerprinting. It's like, if you think about it, your copy has a fingerprint. So the more that you're sending out that same variation, the sooner you're going to get crushed by Google. So these things help. We use Clay for personalization. Also on my channel, I have a whole free course on how to use Clay. And I think, just last week we posted 2 videos about how to use AI to personalize emails. It's good so a lot of people think that personalization is just about like making the email copy like more attractive, like standing out and catching the prospect's attention, which it does that, but also it's a deliverability hack because you're sending more unique content, right? Also, more free value, good lead magnets. And when I say good, I mean like good ones that people are going to respond to because more replies equals better deliverability, right? Which equals more leads and more revenue for your business. Here's an example of a good lead magnet. Let's say for a marketing agency. Hey, we'll take a piece of your existing long form content and we'll turn it into a funnel for you completely for free. And if it works, we can discuss a larger project. An email like that is going to get a lot more replies and it's at least not going to get marked as spam much because you're actually offering like really valuable free help, right? So lead magnets are always good. There's a few other reasons why lead magnets are very important to do, but this video is about deliverability and they're helpful from a deliverability perspective. Also, quicker inbox replacements and less patience. So this is what my team and I have changed recently. And this is why it's costing us more money to run email at scale. But essentially, out of everything I just showed you, I know it probably feels like there's like a fire hose of water to your head right now. There's a lot of small things, right? The good news is this is on YouTube and it's recorded, so you can go back to this. But out of everything I just showed you, here's like your one North Star. The most important thing you need to do is just always have backup inboxes and replace the bad ones. If you always be in trouble because let's say you have 100 inboxes that are sending outreach, right? And let's say that you find that 50 of them are having problems because you saw that their reply rates went down for like a week straight, right? Well, you're gonna then follow our protocol of the restore and resume, right? So you're gonna restore those, right? So you're gonna pause them, take them out of the campaigns, and let them just warm up for a week and put them on timeout, right? And then you're gonna resume them. And if you resume and they still don't work, well, you can put backup inboxes in, right? So typically for our clients, we usually have at least 50 to 100 inboxes that are just backup, meaning that they're not actually in campaigns, but they're just warming up, getting good reputation, and they're ready to send at any time. So as soon as inboxes have problems and we need to pause them or delete them, we have fresh ones ready to go so our campaigns don't suffer. Otherwise, you have to wait 2 weeks for new ones, right? Now, this has always been a thing, but recently we've stopped trying to fix the inboxes as much, and now we just replace them faster. So kind of like our threshold has gotten lower and like our leash has gotten tighter, right? So we're just less patient because again, it's just gotten harder. So there's less of a chance you're going to fix them. Yeah, like we're just looking at the warning signs earlier and keeping more backups. Also, aged domains. So now we just buy lots of domains from GoDaddy and Porkbun. Porkbun has sales often, and we just let them sit for a while. So when you buy a brand new domain and if you start sending emails right away, that also looks suspicious to Google, right? So, but if you have a domain that's been sitting there for a while, that makes you look more legitimate. It makes you look more established, right? I mean, think about it. It makes sense. Like if you have a company, your company would have been around for years and you would have had that same domain around for years, right? So we now just keep more like aged domains. We've also learned that when you're reaching out to bigger companies, like Fortune 1000 companies with thousands of employees, they have very, very strict filters for email deliverability. It's really harder to break through to enterprise, right? You can still do it, but it's harder. And age domains help because again, it's just one more thing that looks legitimate to these big companies, right? Removing ESG filters, that stands for Email Security Gateway for all the nerds out there that want to geek out on the stuff and go Google it. It's like certain, like, so ESG is like Mimecast, right? Also, this is common in bigger companies. Larger companies have these filters to, again, filter out emails. And it's just harder to get through to them. And if you email a lot of these leads, you're going to have a lower reply rate, which reflects poorly on your overall score. So this one's really simple. When you upload a lead list to Instantly or any other tool, I mean, I'm pretty sure Smartly, these other ones do it as well. But again, I'm just biased because I'm using Instantly. But I would imagine by now most tools do this. But when you upload a list to Instantly, it'll tell you, hey, 20% of these leads are ESG filters. And then the other 20% are Google or Yahoo or whatever. Just remove the ESGs because you're going to get a very low reply rate and it's just going to reflect poorly on your score. So basically that just means you're taking your whole lead list and you're just like deleting a small portion, which Instantly will tell you how to do this. Also, we go on expensive but safe mode and trickier niches. So when we're targeting larger companies, it's harder to get to good deliverability. If we're targeting higher spam complaint industries, like industries that are really competitive or they get a lot of emails, or if we ever have to send a link for a client, because we had one client we were promoting an event for them and they really wanted us just to drive people to the event page. So we had to send a link. So whenever there's a scenario where it's going to be harder to get to good deliverability, we go on what I call expensive but safe mode, which means we'll send less emails per inbox per day and we'll have more backups. So instead of having 100 backups, we might have 200 or 300 and we might pause emails sooner and put them on timeout. And then we also could use double verification. So you could take your lead list from Apollo or Clay, put it into Find Email and get the valids, and then put those valids in like Intool and have 2 layers of verification to make sure that you're only sending to real emails. All of these things, by the way, take more money because if you want to send less emails per inbox per day, like usually we cap things at like 25 emails per day per inbox. But if we're in a trickier niche, we'll send less. But that means you're spending more money because to hit your volume goals, you now need more inboxes. So that's why I call it expensive but safe mode. Also, keep your copy less salesy, more conversational, more helpful. Aggressive stuff is just going to make you get marked as spam. Also, remember I talked about fingerprinting. If Google can detect you're sending the same email lots of times, they'll put you in spam more likely. Refresh your copy once per quarter, or ideally every 3 to 4 weeks. Meaning you could take your copy and just change a few words or phrases every month. And then now it's like sort of new content, right? Or just refresh it entirely and just give it a full overhaul. But I know that that's also hard to do when you have copy that's working really well, right? So if you really want to keep the same copy, which sometimes you're going to want to do that, just make slight changes. Also, still avoid links. But if we do use links, you can use a Google Doc link or a YouTube link. So think about this. If you're sending a link to someone in an email, but they're a G Suite or a Gmail email address, or your VSL, if you really want to do that, instead of actually sending them to some random landing page, put your VSL on YouTube or put it on a Google Doc, because at least then Google recognizes that and that's a trusted domain, right? So if you are going to send links, it's better that you send like good quality links within the Google ecosystem. Another recent learning is everything gets harder at scale. So clients that we have to send 100,000 plus emails per month, it's just harder. So that just means, honestly, all the fundamentals are the same. Just make sure you're like more and more thorough about doing all this stuff. Also, we do more consistent timeouts for more inboxes. So now we're doing like, even if inboxes aren't actually lowering performance, we'll still put them on a pause for 2 weeks and then swap in like batch A versus batch B. That's a new thing we're doing because again, it costs more, but we're finding that that's another way to give us an extra edge. Also change the daily volume and time zone. So we've just started experimenting with this. We're just about to, but like if all the emails are sending from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, we'll then go in and say, our theory is that we're going to go in and say, hey, now today send from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if we change that each day, it just looks a little bit more human. The whole idea is to simulate what a human would do, because then you're not going to be flagged as like AI or a robot, right? So anything you can do that just makes your sending activity look more human-like, right? So this is the new thing that we're testing, and I'll let you know how that goes. And also, we pretty much almost always do 2-step email sequences. Most of the time, we avoid a 3rd or 4th email. More and more, we're just ending the sequence at 2, because the chance You'll get leads from email 3 and 4, but it's not usually worth it for the extra spam complaints you get. Because people, if I send you 4 emails, you're more likely to mark me as spam because you didn't reply in the first 3, right? Like you didn't take the hint, right? So now there's a caveat here. That's why I said most of the time in capital letters. The caveat is that if you have a really small target market, well, if you only send 2-step email sequence, you're going to run through your list pretty quickly, right? So if you have to kind of get more leads and more revenue out of a smaller target market and you really, really can't expand that target market, then you're going to have to do 3 and 4 emails, but at least space them out more or just recycle the leads faster, meaning like you get through a 2-step sequence and then you wait a bit and then you re-email the same list with another 2-step sequence. But now at least it's like a new email sequence and it's a new subject line, a new thread. So it doesn't really seem like you're aggressively sending 4 emails in the same thread. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. I warned you guys, this is like some pretty intense and slightly boring stuff, but this is literally the blueprint right here to making sure you get great results. If you've been running campaigns and they've been falling off a cliff, I promise you, if you just do all of this, or at least like even half of these things, you're going to see a big difference. And it's pretty inspiring too, because sometimes if we just change if we have a campaign that's like declining, we can just change a couple of these things. And then very often, like immediately the next day, we'll see a bunch of leads come in or a bunch of booked calls come in. So this stuff can really make a big difference pretty quickly, but obviously there's a lot to it. By the way, guys, I have a whole SOP with this entire checklist. If you want it, just comment template down below and I'll just give you the document that has this entire checklist. And again, there's a video that walks through this like another level deeper. So if you enjoyed this and want to keep learning, watch that other video, which is linked down below. It'll probably appear somewhere on the screen in a minute. If you want this checklist, just comment below and then I'll send you like a Google Doc or something with the checklist. And other than that, if you want a free email deliverability audit, let me know. I'm just doing this for qualified businesses only. So you can book a call at the link down below and just write in the box like email deliverability audit. And I'm happy to do one for free for you. If you've been running campaigns and really struggling with this, I'm happy to help you out for free. So just make sure you book a call at the link in the description. And I'm doing one of these for free at the moment. So we kind of look at the checklist and just see like where you need to focus on first. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. And here's that fat cat again. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Hey, I'm AJ Cassata, co-founder of Revenue Boost. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to leave me a comment and definitely subscribe right now so that you're notified of all the cool stuff we're doing, all the cool tactics, tips, and strategies that we share here on the channel. We help B2B companies scale to 7 to 8 figures. We've helped over 400 clients and we can help you too. And we share some amazing stuff on the channel here. So really hope you enjoyed. And if you do, let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe. All right, back to the video.